Hi everyone, so I want to talk about what I believe causes POTS. This is something that I developed some of the symptoms early on and some of the symptoms later on. The weakness type symptoms is something that I had from pretty much the very start of my illness. But the like almost fainting, loss of vision, blurry vision, all these kind of symptoms, heart palpitations, are something that developed later on as I got worse. I think it's quite good to understand that no matter what diagnosis you have, it all comes down to your body is burdened and it's just malfunctioning. And you see, one person can be malfunctioning one way and somebody can be in a completely different way. It just depends on the weaknesses of the person, their genetics and stuff. That's how I understand it. So what do I believe causes POTS? Now, when I had POTS, I had to understand it as this. This is how I looked at it, sorry. I believe POTS, looking at the symptoms and what they mean, your body is trying to make you stay put. It's trying to make you not move. When you stand up and you feel faint and you want to sit back down and you feel bad sat upright, you just want to lay flat, I think these symptoms are your body's way of telling you to please just stay still, don't move. And that's something I listen to my body, you know. It's very simple when I look at it now from the other side of what my body was telling me from very early on. It was telling me to stop moving. It was telling me to rest more. It was telling me to stay put. And when I looked at the symptoms like this, I really went into researching studies on calorie restriction and the energy of the body and how we get our energy. I started looking at athletes and how they perform at such high levels and where do they get their energy. And I started just looking at everything and I started to make sense of everything that I was learning. I was starting to understand that when it comes to energy, your energy comes from your food. It's your fuel, yeah? And for the longest time I really didn't understand that. I really believed that energy is just something you have while you're alive. What you eat is just I know it's a very distorted way of thinking, but I really saw eating as just something for pleasure. So here I was researching experiments they done on people with calorie restriction, having 1500 calories a day and stuff, and what they saw, and I was seeing these symptoms lining up with my own. That's not to say that that's all that caused it, but I was looking at this when I started to lose my more severe symptoms of pain and muscle pain and everything, and I started looking at why it was that my energy levels were still low even though I was improving. And I saw these symptoms of people in these experiments getting more severe as time went on these calorie restricted diets. And I decided to just take a leap of faith and copy what they did in those experiments. And what happened in those experiments was, at the end of the duration of them, they allowed them to have unlimited amount of foods. And what happened was these people went from eating 1500 calories a day to 6,000 calories a day, 7,000 calories a day, and they had a refeed period of up to 6 months where they were just gorging themselves, stuffing themselves. And what happened was their symptoms reversed and they became healthy weights, normal again and everything. And I copied that and my POTS symptoms started to diminish. So if you're someone that has a history of an eating disorder, or someone that's had a history of undereating or not paying attention to what you eat, or having just not a very nutritious diet, all these different things, your body may be starving for something that it's not had for a long time, or long periods of not having something, or periods during growing up you've not nourished your body correctly, or just any of these things. It was just, we had to kind of guess at this point, because the medical establishment are not helping us. They're telling us to live with these symptoms. You have to just experiment for yourself. So that experiment was called the Great Starvation Experiment, if you're wondering. And yeah, so I copied this, and I noticed as I fueled my body more, my symptoms of POTS diminished, and I believe that's because my body came out of a state of forcing me to sit down because it didn't want to burn any excess energy that it didn't have available, to realizing that a new source of food is coming in. It's coming in huge amounts of quantities. We don't have to be so conservative with our expenditure anymore. Therefore, it's going to allow me to move, and that's what happened. This is my belief of what happened. I believe that because my body came out of this state of thinking it was getting one meal a day, 1500 calories, be conservative with my energy, it changed to understanding that there's this new source of food coming in, and it's coming in abundance. Therefore, we have excess energy to burn. We have excess energy that we can spend now. We don't have to be so conservative, and that's what I believe helped with my POTS symptoms. Obviously, before then, I had the foundation work of good sleep, addressing emotional issues, emotional trauma. I had help fixing my posture. I had help fixing my mouth breathing. I started breathing through my nose. I started using tape at night, potato technique, if you want to look that up. And I just was fixing all these issues as well, but when it came to it, I was reducing my pain and everything, but I still had those lagging symptoms of energy. So if these are symptoms that you're still experiencing, maybe it's something you want to look into, the Great Starvation Experiment. And yeah, I really do believe that when it comes down to energy, we really take, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say, but one thing I will mention quickly is that when it comes to athletes and everything, that they expend huge amounts of energy, and they're not just eating when they feel hungry or just eating small amounts of food, reasonable portions. They are having to provide their body with the energy from their diet to excel in sport. So when I was recovering, I looked at these people and I would go, I would do anything to be able to run again or walk again, or you know, when I say walk, I mean go for a 10, 20, 30 minute walk. At the time, I was just I just couldn't get up the stairs. It was just so much effort. And I looked at these people that were just running for you know, sport and everything, and enjoying themselves, and I wanted that badly. I hadn't had that for years, and that's something I wanted, so I did copy them as well. It was a realization that for the longest time I hadn't really nourished my body and given my body the calories it needed to give me the fuel to do those things. So yeah, if you're someone that has problems around eating disorders and stuff like this, maybe you should have a look into this. Maybe it's something that can help you. Now, I just want to say a disclaimer that chronic illness isn't just caused by not feeding yourself correctly calorie-wise, but I believe it's another segment to the problem, is people under-eating and not feeding themselves properly, blah blah blah. I've said it all. It's a long video already, but yeah, give me comments what you think, and I'll see you next video.